Good
You're on
afternoon.
mute.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're very excited to have you all here today. We appreciate your time and energy. We're here for the Providers Speak Out. And while we have many providers from the Southeast region and reporters from this area, at the very beginning, I want to say this is a statewide issue. This is not just a Philadelphia or regional issue. It affects everyone in the state. This COVID pandemic has affected every provider throughout the country, but specifically as well in Pennsylvania. For example, at Children's Village, because of the COVID crisis, 40% of our children who are typically here have not returned. That means 40% of our attendance has dropped. It would be wonderful if 40% of our expenses have dropped as well, but that's not the case. Because of COVID cost and PPP and everything else, our costs have increased. But we're just one example of many thousands of childcare providers across the state who are struggling due to the COVID crisis with higher cost and lower enrollment. During the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic, according to the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry, the childcare sector ranked among all the sectors 8th for the share of people unemployed due to COVID. And we're about to shoot that number up significantly just because of the lower enrollments and providers may be needing to close. But specifically, we're here to talk about the urgent need, and I mean urgent, need for the Wolf administration to reverse the recently imposed short-sighted policy that now makes subsidy payments to childcare providers based on their current attendance instead of their pre-COVID enrollment. As I said, Children's Village is 40% less. This policy took effect on September 1st, and now, as of this week, when providers are receiving their payments for the month of September, they're seeing how they're being adversely, severely affected by this policy. Over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll tally what providers tell us they've lost so far in state payments. These cuts, again, are on top of lost tuition payments we received pre-COVID from parents who were able to pay the full cost of care at childcare centers. At the end of the comments from the providers that we brought together for this event, we will also take questions from the media. Lastly, this is a provider speak out. So if you're a childcare provider who was not scheduled to speak today, we encourage you to use the chat box to ask questions, concerns you may have for state lawmakers so we can pass them on. If you know how much money you lost, put it in the chat. We want to make sure that when we talk to state lawmakers, we're giving them the right information. You deserve to have a voice in what impacts you and tell us how much your payments for childcare services have been reduced. I'm going to introduce first Charles Coe. Charles, would you just say who you are and where you're from and give us a few of your comments?
Hi, yes, I'm Dr. Coe from the Incredible Kids Learning Center organization. The re-implementation of the September policy is a huge detriment to centers. As we all know, the funding before COVID was not suitable, and especially more than ever now. One of the biggest issues that we've seen, I've had a week where we had 16 cases closed for parents. I think they're not taking in consideration, if you're just furloughed, you still have to be able to find a job and go on interviews. When parents do not have suitable childcare, we've now created an additional barrier because that parent cannot go on an interview. That parent cannot go to a training development program, which in return creates additional barriers for their family and or that household. Unfortunately, there should never be a reason why at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm receiving phone calls from parents that are saying, my case was closed, but I have an amazing interview. Parents that have put in 40, 50, 60 applications, and they have an interview that they can't go to because they don't have childcare. So then they're finding that, what do we sort of kind of do? Is there any way that they're making promises? Well, once I get a job and until my case is reopened, could I pay you guys back then? That's the worst situation to be in. On top of it, we have a social human services component to Incredible Kids. And it's really unfortunate. We have a lot of single parent households, predominantly women. We have a lot of families that are in shelters. That situation is even more tragic because children are saying things that, well, my education doesn't matter, or mom, why can't I go to school? Childcare centers are not just childcare centers, they're hubs for children. We literally set these little children on a pathway for future success in schools. So when that's ripped away from them for kids who already don't have anything, that is where we really sort of have a bigger issue. We've experienced $16,000 to $18,000 decrease in 1 month alone. The biggest issue is I have all these great teachers, but because of case closures and or lack of funding, we now have to re-furlough these great teachers. That's an issue, because now we're going to lose people who don't necessarily want to be in the ECE field, which a lot of that comes from their passion, but there's only but so much passion can do if you don't have the funding stream to sort of kind of support those teachers. Those teachers also have families as well. So it really is a huge issue that we're seeing. And we're trying to continue to keep doing our best. But if we don't have adequate support, you really question how much longer can you do your best. Prime example, and I'll wrap it up. We were building a community center. That project is on hold due to funding. The reason we were building a community center on top of a preschool and a community center was to have the centralized training. We do the life skills coaching. We're doing the crisis intervention. We're doing the case management. We're doing the housing referrals. All of those services that we're offering that we would have been able to expand to offer even further, we now have to put a pause button because we don't have proper supports in order to continue that great work. I don't want to have another child be lost to a system where they already feel as though that they just don't matter. The thing that will really break your heart is when a child asks you, well, am I not good enough to be in school? Or my mom cries every night because she's trying to find a job. The worst fear from a social worker standpoint is for a parent to have someone watch their children who they may not know, do not trust, but that's the only option that they have. Our centers serve as safe havens for children that come to us. We're the ultimate resource for families. We're the ultimate resource for women who, for whatever reason, there seems to not even be support for them. Because, and I hate to say this, but I almost feel as though because childcare predominantly impacts women, it almost seems as if it's not a priority. That if it was a man that had to sit home all day, it would be a priority for them. But you also have women who are entrepreneurs that own their own businesses that are creating unique opportunities for men and women. And now we're taking those resources away from them, which is really sad in this case.
Thank you, Charles. And we're going to hear from some of these women as well. And I neglected to mention that I'm the director at Children's Village, which is a large NACCE accredited center located in downtown Philadelphia. And Charles as well is located in Philadelphia. Now let's hear from Kim.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim Ramsey, and I'm the founder and owner of the Willow School in Norristown, Pennsylvania. I have previous experience owning a Goddard school and in this industry for almost 20 years. I'm a prior corporate person and an Army captain. And this industry in itself has had challenges before COVID, but this year alone, because of COVID, it has drastically impacted my business as well as other providers due to the decrease in revenue due to the loss of enrollment. Just to give you an example, I have been impacted from January. I had an 85% enrollment rate to now in September at 47%. And now with the Ocdale no longer paying our pre-COVID enrollment rate, I have lost $17,000 in revenue, or which makes it more home, bring it home, is that it's 27% decrease in my revenue. Therefore, I'm still maintaining the same level of expenses, if even higher, and therefore resulting in a negative 22% loss in my ability to remain open. And I'm not alone in this. So the whole numbers may not seem like a lot to everyone, but a negative 22% for September, whereas in January, I was at a 22% profit. It is devastating, and I'm not alone. So at this time, I really do encourage other childcare providers today to share their payments lost because of the CCW changes that Ocdale has made, and as well that you will hear from people who and how much they have lost from May to September. We need to demonstrate, as Charles has echoed before, that this is devastating in our industry. This change in Ocdale has decreased our ability to remain open and actually our ability to help other businesses remain open, as well as to help and support in our economy's recovery. So please, 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 everyone here, report on what you're losing so that we can see the devastation of this policy change. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. We know that numbers really are what works in giving the message. Delta and all the other airlines didn't get support from the government because of just a story, but rather figures. So we're going to start calculating and tallying those figures. So I'm going to be calling on providers. They're going to tell you who they are, where they're from, and how much money they lost just this month. So first, we're going to start with Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin Wren, the Director of Operations from Today's Child Learning Centers. We're located in Delaware County. I do have multiple centers, and the difference between our August and September CCW payment was $120,000. And we continue to lose money each time we have to shut down due to a quarantine or a positive COVID case.
Thank you. Antoine?
Hi, everybody. I'm Antoine Spencer from Brightside Academy. I work at the 17th Lehigh branch. We've lost 3,600 this month due to these policy changes.
Okay. Christine?
Hi, I'm Christine Dragon. I'm from Warwick Child Care Centers in Chester County. I'm the executive director. The difference in revenue for us from August to September was $42,000.
Scary. Okay, let's hear from Troy.
Hi, I'm Troy Sanders from Brightside Academy in Allegheny. We've lost $15,800 due to this policy change.
Claire?
Hi, I'm Claire Martirana from the Community YMCA of Eastern Delaware County. We lost $17,570 this month alone due to the changes that ELRC has instituted.
We're going to hear from Latasha, another Brightside program.
Hello, everybody. My name is Latasha Carroll. I'm from Brightside Academy Van Pelt location. We lost $13,500 this month due to this policy change.
Melissa, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Blatz from Beautiful Beginnings Child Care Center in Northeast Philadelphia. We have also lost $17,000 this month due to this policy change.
We see the numbers rising. How about Kristen?
Hi, my name is Kristen Davis. I'm from Brightside Academy, the Mellon location in Philadelphia, and we've lost $11,800 this month due to the policy change.
Next, Margie.
Hi, I'm Margie Sebastiani from Sunshine Christian Academy in Drexel Hill, Delaware County. Just in 1 month, we lost over $18,000.
Okay, we're going to hear from Zakia next.
Hi, I'm Zakia Joyce Lyons from Brightside Academy out of the Kensington area, and we lost $17,301 this month due to that change.
That seems like a popular number, 17,000 for one center. Ronnie, how about you?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Ronnie.
Awesome. How you doing, Miss Mary?
Pretty good, Ronnie. How about you?
Good. I'm from 56 in Woodlands, Brightside Academy, and we lost around $31,700 this month due to the policy change.
That's double what other people have lost.
Yes.
How about Joanne? Joanna, how about you?
Hi, I'm Joanna Collins, and I'm the director of Creative Play Day School. We're a small center in Chester County, and this month we lost $9,000 because of the change.
Although $9,000 is a small amount, but if you have a small budget, it's a huge percentage. Let's highlight that. How about Deshauna?
Hi, I'm Deshauna Whitney from Brightside Academy, located at 25th and McKean in South Philly. We've lost $17,400 this month due to this policy change.
We're moving to the Germantown section now. How about Susan?
Oh, okay. Oh. Hello, I'm Susan Kavchuk from the Child Space Centers. We've lost about $16,000 this month from the changes, but I will note that that loss would have been double had it not been for the after-school full-day services. So it really isn't apples to apples. So we're anticipating that come when the schools start moving towards the mixture of in-class and virtual, that loss will actually be double per month.
Yes, that's true here as well, Susan, at Children's Village. Luckily, we do have some school-age children full-time. Finally, we're going to hear from William.
Hello, my name is William Hayes Webb. I'm the director of Brightside Academy 6000 Cancer. That's in the Northeast Philadelphia region. We've lost $21,300 this month due to this policy change.
You've just heard from 15 providers about what they've lost for 1 month, and we're almost at $400,000. We're going to, again, I'm going to encourage anybody who's on the line, who's a provider, who hasn't spoken yet, to put in their name, put in what they've lost this month for the month of September, and we will be tallying this during the course of the call. I did want to take this time, though, to thank Legislator Mary Isaacson. We really appreciate you being on this call. We're so glad that you're able to join us. We know we're speaking to the choir when we're talking to you because you have been a very supportive legislator for childcare. We need you to help get this message to your colleagues at the state legislature in Harrisburg. We're going to hear now from Aaliyah Brown. Aaliyah Brown is from Brightside, and she's just going to share some more information besides the money, what they've lost, what they've had to do in their program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Brown from the Brightside Academy at Kensington and Allegheny. I am the center director there. We are a high-quality childcare center servicing children from age 6 weeks to 12 years of age. Before COVID, in a typical month, we would have about 150 children attending at our center at one time. All of our Brightside Academy programs, like all of the providers, have yet to see our enrollment numbers rebound to the level before the COVID shutdown. If this policy is not reversed, I am confident my center cannot stay open. Our state payment dropped by nearly $18,000 in 1 month. This just isn't sustainable. Without my center, this community will not only just lose a business, they will lose a place that families can depend on. But Philadelphia will lose one of the far too few high-quality early learning centers in the city's lowest income neighborhood. There are less affordable options for childcare. If I close, this will not only impact and affect our business, but it will be a devastating blow to the Kensington and Allegheny area.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of high quality and speaking of strong advocates, I'd like to have you hear from Leslie Spina. On a side note, Leslie was just selected by the Pennsylvania chapter of the National Association for the Education of Young Children as the recipient for the Voice Award. This means she speaks strongly and powerfully and advocates for children. And now you'll hear some of the figures and some of the trials that she's been going through.
Thank you, Mary. You know, it's our nature to say, we'll make this work and we can get through anything that happens. And, you know, we will come forward and do what we need to do for children. And I'd like to say that, but the reality is we're losing money from private pay. We're losing money from Child Care Works. We're in a worldwide pandemic. And our legislators need to come forward and make sure that we're here when we're on the other side of this pandemic to continue doing this really good and hard work. Nobody comes to this field to get rich. We come here to do the right thing for children and families. We raise the tide for our community. Kinder Academy's enrollment is down by 45%, almost half. This month alone, just for Child Care Works, we lost $60,455. If I annualize that, that's $720,000. That is the last nail in the coffin. If you know anything about this industry, you know that the margins do not provide for $750,000 of extra money at the end of the year. Those numbers are calculated before I consider what happens if we have a shutdown due to COVID exposure, or if we have a shutdown in our cities and we're no longer being compensated for any children. We cannot survive this if the stakeholders don't step forward and say that they are going to do the right thing and ensure that our children have the highest quality experiences that are possible in our community. Right now, we know that the 53 providers that responded to this initial inquiry have lost over $800,000, close to $1 million. That's only 53 providers, 2% of the providers that are licensed in Pennsylvania. There are more than 2,500 providers in the Philadelphia region that are facing similar challenges just to keep their businesses alive. Childcare ranks 8th for share of people unemployed due to COVID. 8th. We're the hidden employer because we're small businesses generally, but we are the backbone of the economy reopening, of parents going back to work, specifically women. We are the backbone of our entire community's economy. The rankings for this unemployment will continue to rise as childcare centers are forced to close. There's no possibility that Kinder Academy will be open this time next year or even 6 months from now without some immediate change to these guidelines. We are not asking for a handout. We are asking for our legislators to make the decision that it matters that we continue operating. So when we are on the other side of COVID, everybody else can go back to work.
Thank you, Leslie. For those of you who know me, you may know that I love budgets. I love numbers. I'm a numbers nerd. So I'm going to repeat again, just from these 53 providers, we are at 836,223, and this is a very small percentage of the providers in this region, let alone across the state. For every dollar that we lose, that converts to additional dollars lost in the economy because of the people that we're not able to hire. This is not just a sob story, as Leslie said. We don't want a handout. We're trying to stay employed and in business so we can keep the rest of the city and state and the country. We so appreciate when legislators come and visit us and say, what a great job. We need more than just thanks at this point. We're going to hear next from Damaris, who's going to talk a little bit about what she's facing.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Damaris, and I'm the Executive Director of Children's Playhouse. I have 2 high-quality programs in South Philadelphia that has been impacted severely due to the loss of income these past few months. Our programs usually service around 280 students. Prior to COVID, was 100% full with a waiting list. As of today, our program's enrollment is at 200 students, which is at 72 of its normal enrollment capacity rate. Balancing budgets these last few months have been extremely difficult due to COVID closures, private pay, and copay income losses. Our programs, as to many of others, has been trying to balance budgets with the help of uninterrupted CCW subsidy payments we were receiving these past few months. The loss of CCW payments as of September has impacted our programs negatively. And if we do not come up with a solution, it will cause us to permanently close one of my programs. Both of our high quality programs serve vulnerable families from diverse backgrounds. Many of them are new immigrants with limited family support. My staff and I serve a lifeline to them and their children by connecting them to other resources available in the community. We have been providing our families and our community with free diapers, formula, grab-and-go meals, clothing, coats, educational resources, family trainings, job fairs, resume building, ELRC application processing supports, mental health services, COVID testing site resources, and immigration services supports. The impact of COVID has already hit these families extremely hard. The closure of our high quality program, the only one in our community, will cause additional and unnecessary hardship to many families and children that depend on us. In addition to the impact that it will cause for our families, let us not forget that we have teachers, not babysitters, that have been in the front line since the pandemic hit us and that are essential. Our teachers are returned to work to serve the children, families, and communities, and should be compensated for the hard work they have done and continue to do. Those teachers are already undercompensated and deserve the right to be paid more, especially through these hard times. Closing our facilities will force these hardworking and dedicated teachers to be laid off and looking for jobs in a world that is extremely impossible to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris. We know that when the state made these changes, they say we have to look out for our families and we have to look out for our parents. We are there to support providers, but our goal is to support the working family. Well, this policy has affected the working family, and we're going to hear from some parents. But before I do that, I just want to invite any of the media who's on this call to please put your name in the chat box, and so we can acknowledge you, and also to put any questions you may have in the chat box, because we'd love to take questions from you. As I said, this policy isn't just affecting the self-serving providers, as some people may think we are. It's affecting the families we serve. So we're going to hear from 3 parents right now. And again, they're just 3 of many of thousands and hundreds of thousands of families across Pennsylvania. First, we're going to hear from Janice. Janice, are you able to join us?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Miss Mary and Miss Erin, for the invite. As stated, my name is Janice. I am a mother of 3.5-year-old twins that go to Today's Child in Clifton Heights. My children enjoy the learning, the playing, the interacting with the peers, the loving, nurturing relationships they're developing with their teachers. Knowing my children have the safe learning environment in which to thrive during the day gives me peace as a parent to find the ability to work and support my family. I have a history of, I was a childcare director before I was at this job that I'm at currently. And just the state, to see these numbers is truly tragic. It's to think it's only in a month how it's affecting the state is absolutely crazy. When the pandemic did hit and all the schools had to close, that puts me as a single parent looking for a babysitter when you guys weren't, not you guys, because I wasn't with Today's Child originally. I was with another daycare that I truly loved dealing with as well. And I know that they're going through the struggle as well, trying to keep their enrollment up. I had my mother, who is a elderly woman with health issues, diabetes, everything they want you to stay away from. But that's my only option if daycare's not there, is putting, my mother at risk. So no matter what, everybody's still affected with COVID being, if the schools are open, if the school's not, no matter what, the world's still in a standstill. With childcare, if childcare does close because of this, I wouldn't be able to stay employed. And as, I'm sorry, I forget his people's names. I want to give a couple shout outs to people as they said, but as Mr. Charles Coe said, having to go find another job, having to go on interviews during this time is absolutely bonkers in itself. That it's just, what's going on is nuts, and it's affecting everybody. It's like, everybody's aware. It's not a secret. And then one more, as Miss Leslie Spina was stating, we're not here to get rich. We're just asking for a little bit of help. I know in the childcare industry, we're not here to get rich. We're not out here making a bunch of money. We're here because we care about the children. We're here because we care about our children's education. We care about the future of our communities. And with childcare, with us not being able to have our childcare, what's there for our future? Like, not the children are our future, but like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do if we can't send our kids to school and then I have to quit my job? Or, then instead of getting the government funding with CCIS, which is the only government funding I accept as a parent right at this point, I'd be out there having to look for welfare. I'd be out there looking for the unemployment. It would be a whole bunch of other things, and then I wouldn't get that either. So no matter what it is, it would be a lose-lose. I'm hoping that this will make it a win-lose possibly, because I need my job.
Thank you, Janice. And we know you're on your lunch break, and we really appreciate you taking this time.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to introduce a parent I know well, as she's from Children's Village. So Edith, why don't you share with us some information about why this is an important issue for you.
Hi, Ms. Mary. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edith Whitmore, and my children attend Children's Village in Philadelphia. My children are 11, 9, and 4 years old. My 11 and 9-year-old, they enjoy coming to school. My 4-year-old also, they all enjoy coming to school. They interact with their peers. They have strong relationships with their teachers. You know, they have a safe, reliable place to learn. They get 3 meals every day. They have a schedule, which is really important for my children. 2 of them are in virtual programs, so they need help with their homework throughout the day. And I can't imagine if my center was to close, I don't know what I would do, you know, because my children come first. I can't wholeheartedly work anywhere without knowing that my children are okay and safe first. So it really saddens me to think what this is doing to us right now, because the children are going to suffer the most. Like, that's in the long run, the children will suffer the most, you know, and then in the long run, in the future, the world will suffer if we don't take care of the young children now. So please, like, I'm just here to let it know, this is important. I need the help. I need to work. I need to be able to take care of my family. And I need my children to be safe during the day while I'm taking care of my family.
Thank you, Edith. And we're doing our best because we care for your children and all of them. But again, you're just one of many thousands of families out there. And now we're going to hear from Katie. Katie, can you join us? Let's see if Katie, maybe she's having some difficulty. We ask families to do this, and many of them have to do it on their lunch break, and many of them don't have paid lunch breaks. We're talking about families who are doing their best to get through the day, and we're here to help them and support them. We're doing it, as Leslie said, we're not in here for the money or the, well, we're certainly not in here for the money or to make money, but we're in here because we really do want to hear. So we're going to, I'm going to open this up now. And we have, again, as I said, this is a press conference. So we have press, ask away. We might even have some answers. And while we're waiting, do we have a tally? Have we hit $1 million yet?
Mary, this is Donna Cooper from PCCY, and the amount of cuts that we've seen already exceeded our axis that we had set up. So the level of cuts was bigger than we could have anticipated or imagined, I should say. So we're still putting that together. We're going to have to send it out afterwards. But from the data that was put into this chat, it's well over $1 million.
Okay, well, thank you, Donna. Sad information is we wish we didn't have to break that $1 million mark. Okay, press, we're here.
So hi, this is Dale Mezzacappa from Chalkbeat. Donna, if you could just clarify the $1 million is a monthly figure, is just in the past month since the subsidy system changed?
Yes, I'll answer that, Dale. It was September 1st that Octel made a couple of major decisions. One, families that had been carried on the subsidy system, if they didn't return within 5 days, they were going to lose their subsidy. And then for the providers, that meant any parent who was not attending was taken off the subsidy payment rolls. So now, instead of pre-COVID, we had 413 children that we were receiving payment for. We're down to less than 250. So that's where the decrease in funding comes from the change of what Octel is doing. I don't know how much role the legislators have in this, but I do believe that we need the legislators to start talking to the governor and to Octel to say this policy is really detrimental.
And could you explain again the sort of rationale for changing the system, and whether that rationale, I think there was something about that money being made up by after school students coming in or something like that. And, you know, that has that rationale in, what can you say about the, you know, whether that, you know, what your experience shows about whether that rationale had any, you know, was proven true or proven untrue?
Well, we know that at least, especially in the Philadelphia region, but again, this is across the state, that the state was faced with a number of concerns. Schools were not reopening, and school-age children who needed supervision during the day had been with us during the summer. Many of them had been with us, as they had been since they were infants and toddlers. So their parents would continue to work, and they needed to be somewhere during the day. So school-age children who were only here for 3 hours a day were going to be here for 11 and a half hours a day. That meant that the state would have to pay us a little bit more. We're talking about pennies a little bit more. We're not talking about double a payment. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about a small increase. But then we have all these—
Mary, can I, before you get into that, let me just say that providers seem to make some visual movement when Dale asked her question. Do you mind if we do one thing? Are there any providers who have seen enough school-age children to come into their programs to compensate for the loss of children under 5? If so, raise your hand. Right. I think that answers the question. Thank you. Just checking.
And it has to do with not just the numbers, it has to do with the reimbursement. School-age children—
Right. I just think in terms of the policy and for the folks understanding the theory that providers would be swamped with school-age children. So this would be a net, aside from the details, just didn't pan out.
Right. Yeah, it didn't pan out. And we also know that that's not how the system works. We understand no one wants to pay a provider if they're closed. Providers, if they didn't reopen by September 1st, wouldn't be getting paid. So that wouldn't have mattered.
Thanks.
This is Kim Ramsey. I also like to add that I think they also forgot about the 6 feet distancing. So no matter how many students needed the care, we couldn't actually take them all in order to maintain that 6 feet distancing and safe practices. So we had to actually turn away quite a few students in order to maintain the CDC's recommended guidance. And again, we're not talking about the expenses. As Mary said, yes, we were given a little increase, but it doesn't make up for the expense that we have to maintain, and the economies of scales are just not here anymore.
And I think Kim says something really important. It has to do with the space. Providers are paid based on enrollment, and we have mandates of how much square footage. That mandate has more than doubled, but yet, so that means we had to have half the numbers of children, and they didn't increase any of the reimbursement rates. It's one thing if you said to us, you have to keep 6 feet apart, but we'll pay you double. Because instead of having 24 children in that classroom, you can only have 12. I still have 12 children. I'm paying for 24 rent. These are costs that we were done years ago. That's how centers do their budgets. So it was a policy that might have worked out in theory in their heads, but when it comes to the business and the numbers, it's purely punitive and mean. Any other questions or providers want to add information?
Can I just say, this is Margie Sebastiani from Sunshine Christian Academy. I think that not only are we struggling with the private pay and the costs coming in, we're also struggling with keeping staff. So it's a double-edged sword that we have to turn people away who are ready to come. And we don't have the staff. So it's the space, it's the staff, and it's the finances. So this is a triple storm that we're dealing with.
Okay. You know what? I think we're going to again, we really appreciate time. As providers, we run on schedules. We have to stick to our schedules. People have to get back to work. People have to cover in classrooms. We want to thank everybody who came today. We want to thank you for your time, for your stories, for your information. This is just the beginning. And let me reemphasize, this is not a Philadelphia or Delaware County problem. This is a statewide problem. This press conference has been recorded. I'm sure Donna and the organizers will make it available because this is a story that can be told in any county throughout the state. Thank you again for joining us. And we're going to say goodbye. Take care, everyone.